Hello, my name is Abraham Saferstein. I got involved in cancer research when my son Ariel, of blessed memory, was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 1993. As can be expected, the shock was tremendous, and we suddenly found ourselves in unknown enemy territory. We followed the normal conventional treatments of surgery and radiation, and after battling the disease for a year and a half, his doctor told us that the tumor will most probably reoccur and that conventional medicine cannot actually solve the problem. It was then that I began intensive research to try to find a cure for my son. Even after his untimely passing 8 years later, I continued to learn everything I could about cancer and how to beat it. After many long years, I have achieved an understanding of the mechanisms of cancer and how to fight back. A chance to prove my findings came sooner than I had expected. At the age of 85, my mother, may she live and be well, was diagnosed with endometrial cancer, which recurred very rapidly after a hysterectomy to remove it. The new location of the cancer made surgery impossible, and an oncologist told her that unfortunately there is nothing that can be done for her. The prognosis was 12 to a maximum of 18 months. I told my mother that I believed I could help her. I never tried it, but I was convinced that what I learned during all those years should work. She decided to give it a try and started to take my program. Almost 2 months after that, she went to the doctor for a follow-up, and at physical examination, her doctor was not able to find the tumor anymore. A CT scan confirmed the finding: the tumor was gone. The doctor was sure it would reoccur. We are now over 5 years after that, and my mother is, thanks God, cancer-free. The full details of my story are on the website. Since then, I shared my knowledge with many people that found about my program by word of mouth. Some of these people had a terminal prognosis and were given by their doctors a few short months to live because there was nothing more that could be done for them. After taking my program, a majority of them are now in remission. Word about these results started to spread, and I found myself spending more and more hours over the phone and on emails explaining to people from all over the world how my program works. That is when I decided to open this website. It is a tool to share my knowledge with many more people and allow them to use this information to fight cancer successfully. You probably want to know by now what is my program based on. My program is based on 2 main principles: rebuild the immune system, which obviously failed, and block the supply of energy the tumor needs in order to exist and proliferate. The goal is to address these 2 issues through specific nutrients which are proven scientifically to achieve those results. In my 13 years of research, I discovered that nutrients can in many cases accomplish even more than synthetic drugs. This is a point that tends to shock people. Nutrients are usually viewed as preventative and not curative, and some even think they are altogether irrelevant. The reality is that through the use of nutrients we can control the functions of our cells. This science is called epigenetics, the control of the gene's functions through nutrition, and here is a good example. Dr. Robert Heaney is a prominent vitamin D scientist and professor at Creighton University School of Medicine. In one of his lectures, he described that vitamin D controls about 10% of our genes. Genes control the functions and actions of the cell. Specific nutrients, hormones, enzymes are required to turn genes on or off. In our case of vitamin D, one of its many functions is to turn the p53 gene on. This gene is in charge of apoptosis, programmed cell death. When a cell is damaged beyond repair, the p53 gene will cause the cell to self-destruct. In absence of this, the cell will survive in its damaged state and evolve into a cancerous cell, which divides and multiplies, resulting in the formation of a tumor. The cancerous cells are able to turn this gene off to become immortal, and that is why tumors grow uncontrollably. Vitamin D has the ability, among other things, to turn this gene back on. Population studies show that cancer patients have very low vitamin D levels. In my professional experience, I haven't found anyone with cancer that had a sufficient vitamin D level. And that is why vitamin D is one of the first items in my program. This is just one example of my strategy for rebuilding the immune system. Regarding the second strategy, it is a known factor that cancer cells are inefficient in the use of energy, and in order to subsist, they need 35 times the amount of glucose than a healthy cell. Otherwise, they will starve. And we want them to starve and eventually die. To block the supply of energy the tumor needs, I use a modified fiber molecule that has the ability to clog the glucose receptors of cancer cells called galectins, and thereby starve them, while not affecting healthy cells. These are just two examples of the makeup of my program. More detailed information can be found in this website. The program I developed operates on these principles and is based on solid medical literature. There is nothing here that I consider alternative. The body is designed to work properly, and when there is a malfunction, it is mostly not random. I look for the cause of the problem and aim to address it directly. Once the cause is targeted and resolved, the body naturally resumes its healthy function. This is true not only for cancer, but for most degenerative diseases our society is plagued with today, such as diabetes, heart disease, infertility, osteoporosis, arthritis, and the list goes on. Most of these conditions are considered incurable and tend to be managed and not cured. However, when we apply the same principles of addressing the cause and not the symptom, we can resolve them. I invite you to explore this information further on my site, and I welcome any questions you may have through our contact form. I wish you best of health and abundant blessings.